Hey there, so today we have another video and we have another basic beers and we're doing Dunkles Bock here. So what we have here is Von Trapp's Bock Beer, their dark lager. So this is, from what I understand, to be their interpretation of a Dunkles Bock, coming at 6.5%. So what is a Dunkles Bock? You guys probably are a little bit more familiar with the pale version. My Bock, May Bock, or Helles Bock, Pale Bock. This is Dunkles Bock, Dark Bock. So what is all this Bock going on? Bock, Bock, Bock. Starting in the 14th to 17th century, you had a city in northern Germany called Einbeck. And in the 17th century, they would start brewing the beers that were brewed in Einbeck in Munich. And they had a different kind of accent going on. In America, you know, we think people in the South, I mean, I think it's just a general stereotype. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but you sort of talk like this and there's a drawl and, you know, it's very country, something like that. But from what I understand, one of my best friends is German. There's a sort of analogous kind of situation occurring in Germany. In the South, it's a little bit more quote-unquote country-like. The Bavarian dialect is different. The accent is different. So in the South, they would call it not Einbeck, but Einbach. Bach actually means goat. So it's actually goat in German. So they played on the words, and then this is why you'll see in beers like Doppelbock and other kind of branding, you'll see a goat. And here you go. Von Trapp uses a goat or ram or whatever that animal is in their logo. So there's what you get from that. And the important thing to remember is that the Dunkles Bock is actually the older beer in comparison to the Helles Bock. Until maybe the 15th to 1600s, there was not pale malt. Everything was just dark. I mean, it was dark, smoky. They didn't quite figure out how to make pale malt yet. And then that didn't equate until down in Germany and Austria until maybe the 1800s, when really that technology was spread on and people were actually using pale malts to brew beer. So for a long time, a lot of beer was simply dark, and that's where you get the Dunkles Bock. Another analogous style would be the Munich Dunkel, but this is a little bit higher in ABV, coming at 6.3 to 7.2 in range. So a little higher in your IPA kind of range, but the beer comes in a beautiful kind of brown, ruby brown kind of color. A really nice kind of like toast and like even a little bit of sweetness, like a Tootsie Roll kind of thing. But really just beautiful depth of malt and toast, and the Munich malt is just beautiful in here. And then I'm also getting just a little bit of cocoa. Cheers. Get that beautiful prickly kind of lager kind of carbonation. There's a wonderful depth of malt up front. It's again toasty, it's a Maillardy, it's a really wonderful kind of like nutty kind of character, really beautiful. Think of like a dark 12 grain bread with like really beautiful crust and nuttiness throughout. I'm maybe getting a hint of dark fruit. There's a little bit of like the spicy kind of hallertau, kind of maybe leaning towards earthy kind of bitterness. I almost get this hint, a little bit of like chocolate and roast, and there's Carafa Special Type 2. So they actually throw in a little bit of roasted malt in here just to get the color a little bit darker in this style. But again, I'm telling you guys, these beers at around 6 to 9 to 10% that are in this kind of like deep amber to brownish to deep brown kind of color are hard. If I had this beer blind, I would have a hard time. Because you know what it tastes like to me? A little bit like a brown ale. It has that really beautiful kind of toasted nutty malt character. There's a good amount of bitterness here. There's a little bit of dark fruit. The roast is probably a little bit more restrained than a brown ale, but it just has that kind of nuttiness that you want to attack and go into brown ale for that. But the one that tells me, and again, it's really important from what I've noticed, to really let these beers warm up to really get a true example of the style. As I drink it more, I'm getting the experience that I'm getting from Doppelbock. There's this kind of just like kind of character. The clean lager yeast is what should give it away. The malts are there, the dark fruit a little bit, and the bitterness, it's all there, but just something there is not quite right, you know? It just really, even at 6.5%, the flavor is impactful, but something about that yeast sort of just like, you know, cleans the palate and it's just asking for more. And something about that fleeting note is something that I've tried to use to sort of pick up on a lager yeast. So, you know, even if you have something big and boisterous like a Munich Dunkel or Doppelbock, that you might want to go with an ale yeast strain and go towards certain styles, you have to remind yourself, wait, we're actually in Germany, we're going lager. Beautiful depth of Munich malt here though. Absolutely fantastic. So post in the comments below if you like yourself a Dunkles Bock. Absolutely fantastic. Post if you like other Bock beers. Probably you guys like some Doppel Bocks over there, some Helles Bock. Who knows? Maybe you like a Munich Dunkel instead. Until next time, cheers. Later.